Pam Bondi needs to be fired. Who is rolling this out? The little rascals?
Pam Bondi has definitely made multiple inconsistent statements, and I'm sorry, but she does not deserve the benefit of my good opinion, and I'm not prepared to give it to her.
They're covering up. The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Mm-hmm. Why are they doing that?
Is she stupid? Is she so click-thirsty that she got out over her skis trying to make news, being a Fox News star? It's either that or she's a liar.
People are absolutely not going to accept just a memo that was written that says there is no client list.
It's not about just a pedophile ring and all that. This is about who governs us, right? For this to go away, you're going to lose 10% of the MAGA movement. If we lose 10% of the MAGA movement right now, we're going to lose 40 seats in 26.
That is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously, the intelligence community is trying to cover it up.
My name is Pam Bondi, and I'm the Attorney General of the United States. But I'm Pam Bondi, the best Attorney General you've ever seen in this country, and I'm going to hold these people accountable.
And Pam Bondi brought me to the White House and handed me a stack of papers. And I got to tell you, folks, it was about as valuable as a bunch of blank pages. It was baloney. It was a binder of absolute baloney. And Pam, if you can't do your job, we'll find someone who will.
There's no client list. Never existed. Pam Bondi just lied and said she had one. What?
Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation? It looks like it's going to be, and now this is like the who's going to be off the island first, right? This is who's going to be voted off the island first. And I don't know what to believe on that.
Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions, intelligence institutions, foreign governments, and who was working with him on our intelligence apparatus and in our government. This is why it's a time for choosing now.
Are fucking nuts, man. Watching this protest on television, it's like.
Do you think the raids are nuts?
All of it's nuts.
I think both sides are taking it a little too hard.
Well, I don't think the Trump administration, if they're running and they said we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just like tackle people at construction sites. I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. They said we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing like Home Depots get raided. Like that's crazy.
Quote, if Trump had said that we're going to go to Home Depot and arrest everyone, tackle people at construction sites, I don't think anyone would have signed up for that. Those are Joe Rogan's exact words. In other words, he has wised up to the fact that you could fly a 777 in the space between what Trump promises as a candidate and what he actually does as president. The guy is the world's most prolific and shameless liar. In fact, take a listen to exactly what Trump promised during the campaign.
Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. We will put, and I don't like saying that. You know, the record is Dwight Eisenhower, who was essentially a moderate, good president. General Eisenhower, good president, good general, probably a very good general, right? Better than he gets credit. He never got credit for a lot of things. He built the interstate system, actually. He should get a lot of credit. But he was a very good president. But he was a moderate guy. But he has the record for deportation because he could not stand people pouring into the country. And I think we'll break that record. Not that I want to break it, but we have no choice. We have to get all of these criminals, these murderers and drug dealers and everything. We're getting them out. And we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country, and we'll get them out. Ideally, we want to get them out because we don't want to have to pay for their room and board for the next 50 years, right?
Hear those words he used? Murderers, drug dealers, vicious, bloodthirsty criminals. That is who he promised to round up. And by the way, I'm in favor of that. We all are. You're not going to find anyone, left, right, or center, going to bat for murderers, no matter what color skin they have. If you're white or black or brown, undocumented or native-born, if you are a criminal, a murderer, then you should be held to account for your crimes. And if you are undocumented and you commit a violent crime, then you should be deported. But that's not what's happening with these ICE raids. According to the latest data, as of June 14th, ICE has booked into detention 204,297 individuals since October 1st, 2024, the start of the fiscal year 2025. Of those bookings, 65%, or over 133,000 individuals, had no criminal convictions. Moreover, more than 93% of ICE bookings were never convicted of any violent offenses. About 9 in 10 had no convictions for violent or property offenses. Most convictions, 53%, fell into 3 main categories: immigration, traffic, or nonviolent vice crimes. 93% were never convicted of any violent offense. And yet Trump had promised to go after the hardened criminals. Those people account for all of 7% of those taken by these ICE agents. The rest are people who contribute to society, who build our homes, who pick our food, and who pay taxes but derive no benefit, like Social Security, retirement benefits, Medicare, food.
Happy Saturday, YouTube. So today I want to bring a video to you guys regarding MAGA leaving Donald Trump. And I want to say this. I don't want the Democrats or more left-leaning people to get too excited, because it is my belief if they will eventually fall in line with Donald Trump. It is my belief, if, like I said before in a previous video, if it's a rational, intelligent, accomplished, articulate Democrat who is very principled, who have morals, values, it is my belief that the Republicans will still go with Donald Trump no matter who else it is. So I believe that the left-leaning people or liberal people don't get excited. Don't think like, oh, this is what's going to get him regarding the Epstein files. Anything regarding Jeffrey Epstein, it is my belief that they will go right back to Donald Trump, and they will never support a Democrat, no matter how principled, accomplished, intelligent that Democrat is. So liberals, do not get excited, okay? But you do have your Joe Rogans, your Andrew Schultz kind of turning on Donald Trump. And we know that these men have huge supporters, huge fan bases, huge followings on social media. And so the fact that they are speaking against Donald Trump is kind of like a big deal. Because remember, you got this like kind of bro culture that kind of voted for Donald Trump in this last election against Kamala Harris. Now, it is my belief your Joe Rogans, your Elon Musk, Andrew Schultz, they basically got Donald Trump elected because, like I said, they have huge platforms, they have very loyal fan base, they have very loyal supporters, and they were kind of pushing their support for Donald Trump. And I believe that's why you got all of these kind of low propensity voters who don't normally vote. They don't normally come out and vote, but they voted for Donald Trump in this election. And I literally think that pushed him over, the winning mark or whatever in order to get the presidency. I firmly believe that. So it is a big deal that these big podcasters, YouTubers are going against Donald Trump. But like I said, I believe those same people, if it was a rational Democrat, they would still side with Donald Trump. Now, I am literally on the quest to find like these kind of huge voices, these huge podcasters. I'm on a quest to find footage or recordings, interviews, whatever, where they're showing that they support Donald Trump on policy. And I have yet to find that. I was watching a Joe Rogan interview, and the person basically asked him why he supported Donald Trump. And he just started talking about culture wars. He talked about, this kind of loaded terminology they use. The deep state, the agenda, weaponizing the DOJ. And when you kind of dig deep into those things, it's like their arguments kind of fall flat. You don't hear any political ideologies. You don't hear, I supported him regarding this, or I supported regarding that. People will say they supported him regarding mass deportation, and then when you ask them the question, are you okay with ICE agents wearing masks and grabbing women, they're like, no. But it's like, but you say you supported him on mass deportation. Did you, if you took your deep dive, if you did your analysis, if you researched, if you did all of the things, did you think that he was going to get to the number that he proposed with just undocumented people who were criminals. There was no way for him to get to that number. In order for him to get to the number that he wanted to get to in regards to the people that he wanted to deport, he was going to have to deport migrants that were working, undocumented people that were in school. He was going to have to do those things because there was no way he was able to get to his goal number with just criminals. So they'll say they supported mass deportation, but they don't like the way that it's being carried out. But you can tell they didn't really do their deep dive, because if they did, they would have known that Donald Trump needed to kind of deport and kick out people outside of what he said, which was criminals and people who were doing really horrible things in our country. I believe every American can get on board with deporting people who are violating our laws, our rules, our regulation, our Constitution. Nobody is advocating for keeping undocumented people here that are breaking laws. Nobody's advocating for that. Nobody, right, left, center, middle, nobody is advocating for that. And so when people say, oh yeah, I supported him because the DOJ was being weaponized against him, that's not a policy. It's not anything that will help your family. So like I said, when I was watching the Joe Rogan interview, he was talking when the interviewer asked him the question, like, why did you support Donald Trump? Like, regarding his policies. He was talking for, I think, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, like 2.5 minutes, and he still didn't mention any policies. He was talking about Donald Trump's case in New York, the 34 felony counts. He talked about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, which both times the assassination attempt was by people who were registered as Republicans. It's so weird. Like, the reason that I am on this quest to find people who supported Donald Trump because of actual policies, not culture wars, not DEI, not trans, not his convictions, not any of those things, actual legislation, is because it is my belief, and I'm going to hold on to this belief. It is my belief people voted for Donald Trump because of culture wars, not because political ideology. And so when I'm listening to people talk, and I'm like, oh, okay, because I don't care who you support, genuinely. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to understand why. Considering the legislation that he's putting on the floor, considering all the things that he's doing, my question is, what policies were you in support of? Without saying trans, DEI, those are culture wars. Those are not policies. Furthermore, you have people like Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz and the people that are leaving MAGA, your Charlie Kirks and all of these people who are, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're leaving MAGA, but they have some criticism for Donald Trump. These people are, Nick Fuentes just went crazy, telling Donald Trump F him, calling him fat, and all of these things. It's because of the Epstein files. You have to understand, when you have conditioned your base to believe in conspiracy theories and a deep state and a piece of gate and all of these things, they're going to hang their head on that. You condition them to believe these things. So now that you're in office and you want these things to go away because you know that these things are, I wouldn't necessarily say it's fake, because we know that Jeffrey Epstein was a really bad guy. We know that more than likely there's people from each side of the aisle that are on those tapes. So it's not a matter of it not being true, or there's no evidence that some really shaky things went on, but it's also true that Donald Trump could be implicated in a lot of these things. And it's the reason, it is my belief, allegedly, it is my belief, it's the reason that he don't want to concretely, or he don't want to completely release those files. Because why not? If you promised your base that you were going to be all about transparency and you were going to release these files, why are you not doing it? I mean, it's a simple thing. You are in government. You are the president. You are the leader of the free world. You can do whatever you want in regards to releasing this information. And your base wanted, and you told them you were going to do it. Why are you not doing it? So his base, some of his base feel betrayed. Other people, let me explain narrative to you. And let me explain how some people are never going to be able to let it go. Like, some people will argue because they don't want to be wrong. You have to understand, they have been conditioned by Donald Trump, Fox News, Republicans, right-leaning people, that all of these conspiracy theories are real. They started to live it. They started to ingest it. They started to be conditioned by it. And now they can't let it go. And that's the reason why they're turning on Donald Trump, some of these Republicans, because it's like, you sold us this bill of goods for years, and now you're telling us there's nothing to see here. We can't let it go because we've built our platforms, our lives. The way people argue, it's so weird to me when I hear people say, oh yeah, well, you should research and search. And I research. Actually, I'm like a political nerd. It's literally 80% of stuff that I ingest on a daily basis is news. And I'm talking news from CNN, Fox, MSNBC, NPR. I watch everything. I pay attention to everything. Because it's, if you want to have a well-rounded opinion, you don't only watch the news that reinforces what you already think. You watch everything. And so when I do that and I hear people talk and I'm like, okay, get to the policy, why you supported him. And when you talk Pizzagate and all of these things, show me concrete information, because I'm not the type of person you could just tell something. Ask my mother. My whole life, why? My mother, Andrew did it, why? Why? Can you please show me why? I've always been that type of person. So you can't just tell me something and I'm like, oh, okay. That reinforces what I believe. So, okay. I'm still going to ask why. Even if it's something that I agree to, it's still like, okay, I want to research what you just said, because what you just said kind of goes along with what I think, but because it's new information that you're giving me right now, I still need to research it. So it's always, like I said, funny to me when people talk about Pizzagate and all of these things, and it's like the deep state, and I'm like, what exactly is that? Because I'm literally curious. I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to be combative. I'm not trying to be confrontational. What do you mean? Like, show it to me. Like, prove it to me. And they're like, oh, the agenda. These very loaded words, deep state, the agenda, Pizzagate, all of these things that may very well be true. I'm not saying they're not true. I'm just saying, show it to me. Prove it to me. And they don't be able to do it. Not the people that I've spoken to, like spoken with one-on-one, they don't be able to do it. It's just like a lot of filler words, a lot of loaded words. And I feel bad for the Republican base, because now you have your Joe Rogans and your Andrew Schultz that's turning on Donald Trump, right? But the damage is done. The tax bill has already gone through. Joe Rogan will benefit significantly from the tax bill. Andrew Schultz will benefit significantly from the tax bill. But a lot of their supporters, a lot of their viewers, a lot of their loyal base will not. And so it's okay for Joe Rogan to say, you know what, I don't like Trump no more. He's still worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It's okay for Andrew Schultz to say, oh, you know what, he's not doing all what I wanted him to do. He still has a successful career. He has podcasts. He's going to be fine. Those people that he rallied for Trump and convinced them that Trump is their guy, those people are not going to be fine in the same way that Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz is going to be fine. And it's the reason I feel sorry for their supporters, because their supporters are going to have to deal with the tax bill. Their supporters is going to have to deal with hospitals closing. They are not. Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz can literally hire their own doctor. And their doctor can come to their house, their mansion, wherever they are, and serve them and make sure they're okay and check them and whatever. Their supporters, people who watch them, people who love them, can't do those same things. And it's the reason that I say, not completely, because elections have consequences and we all have to be held responsible for our actions. So I don't feel bad for the Republican base completely, but I feel bad for them somewhat, because they've been misled by people who are now jumping off the ship. Joe Rogan has jumped off the ship. Nick Fuentes has jumped off the ship. Andrew Schultz has jumped off the ship. But their supporters are going to have to deal with what is coming down the pipe that they supported. You supported it at one time. Now it's, oh, I didn't vote for this. You did. Because if you were doing your research, again, regarding mass deportation, regarding immigration, if you were doing your research, you should have known that there was no way that Donald Trump was going to get to the goal number he had just deporting criminals. He was going to have to deport undocumented people who was working in this country, who was going to higher education, going to school in this country. In order for him to get to that number, he was going to have to deport people who were not breaking rules or breaking laws. And so it's so disingenuous to say, oh, I only supported him because he was going to get the undocumented criminals out. There's not 10 million undocumented criminals in this country. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I think Joe Rogan was kind of rallying against ICE. Okay, how did you think it was going to happen? Did you think Donald Trump was going to personally go out there and grab people off the street? How exactly did you think that was going to happen? This is the reason I said that people weren't doing research. They were literally voting on culture wars. They were voting on rhetoric. They were voting on narratives. They weren't voting on policy. And now they have to deal with the policy. It's like, oh, I don't like him no more. It's too late now. So I wanted to bring that video to you guys because I'm seeing clips of, and I've been seeing clips. Since he got in office, we've been seeing clips where just like everyday Americans are saying that they are unhappy and they're no longer supporting him. But now we're getting the Elon Musk and the Joe Rogan and the Andrew Schultz and the Nick Fuentes. We're getting the big people who kind of push these people to vote for him. Now they're jumping off the ship. But you know what? They're all millionaires. They're not going to be harmed by the legislation. They're not going to be harmed by the hospital's closing, but their supporters will be. And so the supporters is left holding all of the, they're left holding everything because Joe Rogan, he like, okay, I don't like him anymore, but I'm going to go on with my life, have my hundreds of millions of dollars, live in my big old mansions. I'm going to be fine. And I don't know when we're going to get to this. I'm already here, but I don't know when the country is going to get to the point where people can just concretely say, I didn't vote for Kamala Harris because she has a uterus. That is a lot of it, more so than we want to believe. It's a lot of it, but people are not ready to say it because they know it's frowned upon. But I'm not exactly sure if that would ever be the case. Somebody come out and say, well, you know what, to be extremely honest, I don't think a woman can run the country. To be extremely honest, I don't think a person of color is sufficient enough to run the country. People are not going to concretely say it, but they say it indirectly. When you ask them why you voted for Donald Trump, and they say, I don't like Joe Biden. It's like, oh, again, why did you vote for Donald Trump? I don't like Kamala Harris' laugh. Oh, okay. So take a look at the clips. I'm going to put the clips in the beginning of the video. I wanted to share those clips because, like I said, there's several of the big guys that have these huge platforms talking about Donald Trump. Nick Fuentes called him fat and just went crazy. But Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz, the people that I've mentioned in this video, they're jumping ship. Like I said, liberal people, Democrats, progressives, please do not believe because they are unhappy with Donald Trump that they will vote for a sane, moral, reasonable Democrat. They won't. They won't. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump, when Donald Trump said I could shoot people on Fifth Avenue, it's unfortunate and it's heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching, but he probably was right. There are some people who will not leave his side no matter what he do. And we have to share this country with those people. And it is what it is, right? So, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.